I'm gonna be honest with you real quick. I haven't really been motivated to do any LEGO videos as of recently, or really talk about LEGO, or really engage with LEGO. And that is the culmination of the past year and a half of straight up baffling decisions from this company that have made me kind of fall out of love with the company. Now, I'm not saying I'm done with LEGO as a whole. I don't think anything would ever make me, be fully done with LEGO to a point where I'd sell my collection or whatever. For reference, I have a 1,000 set strong LEGO collection from a myriad of different themes. However, Star Wars I have the most amount of, with over 200 sets from Star Wars alone. It's all a culmination of 2 generations worth of collecting. My grandfather collected LEGO, my mom collected LEGO, and I now collect LEGO. And I don't think anything would make me give that up, per se, because there's so many amazing sets in the collection that hold more value to me than them just being black toy, you know? However, LEGO has been making some of the most baffling decisions as of recently, which I'm sure you've heard me yap about. Everyone knows their pricing is absolutely horrific. I never talked about the Juggernaut in a video because my video on the state of LEGO Star Wars came out after that, but that set is just a baffling disaster of a set. Not only is it $160 for 800 pieces, which is not okay, considering there's sets with 1,000 pieces for $100, not okay. But it also just goes boom if you touch it wrong. It just collapses on itself. It is a baffling disaster of a set, and I think it's opened a lot of people's eyes, mine included, that this company is kind of going downhill a little. And, everyone thought that, the price issue would be resolved, and a boycott might finally get LEGO to think rationally. However, that doesn't seem to be happening. The UCS Death Star was just leaked, and I talked about it on a stream a little while ago, but this Death Star is $1,000 US, the most expensive LEGO set of all time, and they couldn't be bothered to make it a sphere. It is a tire, it is a slab, and it is baffling considering all of the other most expensive LEGO sets, like the Roman Colosseum or the Eiffel Tower, are complete sets. This would be like if we just got, the top of the Eiffel Tower and not the full thing. What? And now that we're getting 2026 rumors, it seems like LEGO's pricing might be even worse than we first expected. Now, these are all rumors, so take it with a grain of salt, but we now have rumors of a X-Wing, a Luke Skywalker's X-Wing, and a Darth Vader's TIE Advanced coming in March or the first half of 2026. Not to mention that we already have a X-Wing on shelves right now for $100. This new X-Wing, which is just a standalone X-Wing, no TIE fighter like the other one, is also $100. At this point, you could actually go and buy the previous versions of the X-Wing, not even just a 2-pack with the X-Wing and TIE Fighter. You could go and buy the 2021 X-Wing off the aftermarket and still save $50. It is absolutely crazy nuts. I never saw IC today where it is less expensive to go on Bricklink or the aftermarket to get your LEGO Star Wars sets than it is to go and buy the new version from LEGO directly. And not to mention that it seems like from sketches, which again take with a major grain of salt, however this guy has done sketches for a bunch of other sets and has been dead on each time, it seems like it's going to be a 4+, really weird bulky looking X-Wing to fit a smart brick, which is an evolution of the LEGO Mario technology. Anyone wanted that? Now, I do see the appeal for kids to be able to play with an X-Wing to actually make sounds and all that stuff, and I say that's all perfect, but there is no way this smart brick is costing $50 to make. It just isn't. There's no way. The fact of the matter is, this is spreading far beyond Star Wars. Marvel has been infected, maybe even worse than Star Wars at this point, with sets like Oscorp, Peter Parker's apartment, and the bodega just being so overwhelmingly expensive for no reason. And, you know, there's a few bastions of hope out there, but it is spreading quite rapidly. And I hate to say it, but we might live in a world where within the next year and a half, we could see a 300-piece set retail for $100 US. Like, not even a 4+ set, anything like that. I see that happening within the next year. And is that going to stop people from buying it? No, not really. I've said before, but our only real shot would be if people stopped buying these sets. And even though a boycott was attempted at some point, I got a feeling a lot of the people who are actually boycotting weren't actually boycotting. Shout out M&R Productions, by the way, you lunatic. So I really don't think that people are ever gonna stop buying these sets. However, I could really do my part, and being completely honest, other than a few, like, very minor sets here and there that catch my interest, or maybe the occasional set I get on sale, I'm really done buying new sets, I'm gonna be completely honest. I do not feel like paying more money for overall worse products, because LEGO consumerism, I must consume. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, you might think that that's it, it's over, it's over, no more LEGO for me. However, that's not entirely true, and I do want to dedicate the last section of this video for people who may be feeling like me and want to still enjoy LEGO and not buy into LEGO's absolutely ridiculous pricing nowadays. Now, believe it or not, there are a few bastions of hope out there with LEGO sets that I think are still worth the money. The biggest one is the new Soundwave set that came out in August. Newest LEGO Transformers set, and yes, despite being more expensive than Optimus Prime by about 30 bucks, it's one of the only sets I think actually justifies its price increase. Optimus Prime, despite looking pretty cool, was a little unstable and a little, like, mediocre overall. Like, it was still a cool looking set, don't get me wrong, but transforming it was janky, it was still made out of LEGO at the end of the day, so it kind of fall apart. Posing was limited, you know, it wasn't perfect. However, Soundwave takes all of those design flaws, and instead of throwing it into the ground like Star Wars is doing, they improved upon the design, making it better, more sturdy, overall a better product, and adding more stuff that wasn't in the original, like a sound brick. And posable knees, and extra added little goobers. And for that, I think it actually ends up justifying its price tag. One of the only sets out there that does. Even though Ninjago does have its overpriced sets, I think Ninjago is like the one overall scene that is still doing alright price-wise. Thunderfang, I do not regret buying. That set is beautiful for its price. The Green Guardian Dragon is one of my favorite sets ever made. Period. It is a beautiful display piece and an absolutely gorgeous set that I think does deserve its price tag. It's crazy that that set is the same price as the Juggernaut. That shouldn't be okay. I also don't think I could talk about current LEGO sets that are actually doing pretty alright without bringing up Sonic and Fortnite. You know, Sonic and Fortnite are really not for everyone, and a lot of people are kind of alienated by them. Rightfully so. I mean, they have some of the most annoying fan bases of all time. But, you know, I think both teams innovate and make very good looking builds with a bunch of new molds for their characters that accurately capture what the character looks like in universe, while also keeping prices reasonable, for the most part. So I do have to give a big thumbs up to Fortnite and Sonic for holding out while everything else is going to crap. I understand if you don't want to buy these sets. Honestly, I've kind of fallen out of love of buying most of these too. So what can you still do to enjoy LEGO in 2025? Old sets. old sets, retired seams, cool stuff like that. Now, I don't mean just go buy the old retired Star Wars stuff, because scalpers exist and they will make your life horrible. However, I think to really enjoy LEGO in the Big 25, you actually have to take a step back from the big themes and go enjoy some of the old LEGO originals. A theme that I have personally gotten into massively over the past 6 months is Bionicle. Ever since making my original Bionicle video last year going over the lore, I have fallen absolutely in love with this theme. I love it. I have been buying so many sets on the aftermarket, I have been picking up so many Bionicles, and it's overall made up about like 90% of my LEGO purchases this year are just from Bionicle. I've managed to collect a full set of Toa Nuva, which are absolutely stunning sets, by the way. I've also managed to pick up a few little ones here and there, like the Mada Tahu, Toa Jaller, Hakan the Paraka, and a Raxi, which are all great sets and really have rekindled my love for LEGO a little bit. And plus, you could get these sets for fairly cheap for the most part, other than like Titans and Warriors, which are overall pretty expensive, and like a few sought after sets like Mada Nui from the Gladiatorian Legends wave. You know, like that figure is always going to be expensive. However, you could get a lot of these for retail or like under retail if you just have a little bit of patience and set Bricklink often. I managed to get the full set of Toa Nuva for basically retail price for all of them except Kopaka, which I spent a little bit extra money on, but it wasn't that much, it was like $3 extra. And a lot of stores do have sales, and you know, if you just keep an eye out, you can actually get these sets for around retail. Not to mention places like Facebook Marketplace or like eBay, which are a little bit more sketchy, but you can also find better deals on some of those with people just not knowing what they have and selling some old stuff on there, so there's a lot more options than just Bricklink, by the way. But that's not even it. There are so many old LEGO themes: Alien Conquest, Mars Mission, Monster Fighters, Thema, Nexo Knights, hid inside a absolute gem of a theme that died way too quickly, and I fully blame the box art. Horrific box art. Like, what are you even getting in this? And so many other amazing dead themes that a lot of people are selling sets for around retail or a little bit above retail. So if you want to get old sets and still enjoy LEGO, I think that is the best way to go about LEGO collecting in the future, and is what I'm mostly gonna do almost all of my future LEGO purchases, except for like the occasional like outlier like Soundwave. That's really all I have for today's video. I'm gonna take you to the outro now. Thank you all so much for enjoying this video. I know it's been a while since I uploaded, mostly because, like I said at the beginning of this video, I've been pretty burnt out from making LEGO content. Again, I've mostly been buying Bionicle, and I don't really know what content I can make around Bionicle. Like, there's quite a few videos I have in the works. Like, I have in the think tank about Bionicle, like a video on like the Gen 2 stuff, a video on like the Gladiatorian Legends stuff. But the thing is, I don't want to just spam out just videos on Bionicle. I don't want to become a purely Bionicle channel. So if there's anything like cool or interesting that you want me to cover, old LEGO related, then you can go right ahead and like leave in the comments or whatever. I also just need to thank you, even though it's been like 3 weeks, I really want to thank you all for the amazing support on my video coming out. It was crazy. On both Instagram and YouTube, I got so many nice comments, and it's kind of surreal that I'm out, and people know what I truly am now, and almost everyone was so supportive of it. I just have to thank you all so much. I can't promise more videos in the future because I'm dumb with that. Every single time I say I'm uploading more, I just don't. But I will continue to upload videos whenever I feel like it on here. So if you want to be along for that journey, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.